We have details of all these stories and more. Be a part of the show. Would like to hear what you have, your thoughts on the show.
The news now in detail, and Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuah has given indication that prosecution will file a motion for the daily hearing of the case against former CEO of defunct Men's Gold, Nana Appiah-Mensah, following its commencement at the Accra High Court. Namwan pleaded not guilty to all 39 counts of charges against him when the case resumed after almost 5 years. Lord Idoasari sat through proceedings and reports.
After 36 court appearances, Namwan finally got his day in court and pleaded not guilty to 39 charges consisting of 25 counts of defrauding by false pretenses, 7 counts of fraudulent breach of trust, and 7 counts of money laundering. Counsel for the first, second, and third accused, all represented by Nana Appiah-Mensah, told the court accusations of change of name of company per the facts of the case were unfounded since officials of the Bank of Ghana recommended the change after meeting with Namwan. Praying for same conditions of bail which was given his clients at the circuit courts before the case was discontinued, lawyer Kwame Okufu noted that his client wasn't flight risk, having appeared in court over 36 times since the case started. Presiding Judge Eric Che Bafo granted a 500 million cedi bail after prosecution did not object to the call by the council. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuah outlined the plans of his office.
We are of the humble opinion that this is a matter that we must apply to the courts for an expedited hearing. So at the case management stage, we'll put up that application and request the court, subject to the court's convenience, to have this matter heard on daily basis. We want this matter to be heard so that those depositors can know their fate, so the accused person also can know his fate. If you go to the UK, if you go to the world, all the other countries, economic crimes or financial crimes, they are the most difficult crimes. They are the most difficult case to prosecute. You need to spend a lot of time to look at the evidence, comb through the evidence so well. If you fail to do so and you want to rush with the prosecution, the only assurance you can have is that you are likely to fail.
Spokesperson for the aggrieved Men's Good customers, Fred Forson, expressed satisfaction at the hearing.
Our ultimate is to have speedy justice. While the trial is going on, that we will request the president that he will give us a financial bailout. He bailed us already. Even the defense team was saying that 5 years had been wasted already. And so now the new energy with the AG, the deputy AG himself handling the case, we would want that Mr. President will graciously grant us financial bailout to bail us out.
Namwan is expected to deposit his passport and report to the CID every Thursday.
The case has since been adjourned to October 27 for prosecution and lawyers for Namwan to file their disclosures. Again, they know that they have a number of witnesses that they will call on for this case as the hearing continues. Lord Idoasari, TV3 News, Accra High Court.
Let's now go to the Western region, and one of the accused at the center of a freedom demonstration held at Diabene in support of the pro-Russia military group Wagner says he only got to know about details after his arrest. According to Nana Finn, he was hired by the group to provide sound equipment for the program.
Leaders of the pro-Russian group allegedly linked to Wagner were arrested after they organized some youth to launch the group at Diabene near Sekondi. They amassed around 15 others to execute their agenda, leading to their arrest by the police. One of the suspects, Nana Finn, whose sound equipment were hired for the program, says he only got to know the details when they were arrested and locked up by the police. According to him, he was told by one of the leaders that the instruction was to organize a freedom protest to launch the group and send visuals to the Australian sponsors so they would be given more money.
Program to be frank, say Bibi we nudwa ehu the madi no wabadwadi akaya muhunia nkama.
If I had known the motive for the program, I would not have rented the equipment to them. The elders would not have granted them permit to organize the program.
Residents of Sekondi Takoradi are shocked at the turn of event.
Youth are engaging themselves in a lot of organizations, and if something is recommended to me by a friend, or let's say, oh boy, let's join this thing, I will join it, even if there are implications, negative implications, I'll join it. Maybe because of peer pressure and also because of some benefits I'll get from it. But I was very shocked when I saw it.
I've been hearing about these things far away, but now that it's really close to me, it got me scared. And for now, I think we should all be careful as you.
Meanwhile, Assemblywoman for the area, Ramatu Ibrahim, says she has made an arrangement with the Western Regional Police Command to engage the community.
Let's now speak with Colonel Festus Abuaje retired. He is a security analyst. Colonel, thank you so much for your time. Now, the Wagner Group has not been proscribed as a terrorist group. Is it illegal to be a member of the group or to be seen wearing and showing the flags of Wagner and that of Russia?
Well, thanks for having me. Indeed, that's a very question I'm also asking and looking for answers. Why a private military company should cause such hype in Ghana? First and foremost, I've explained elsewhere that Wagner, as a PMC, private military company, operates in Africa and other parts of the world, excluding Ukraine, even in Ukraine, at the invitation of governments. I'm here to come across a scenario where Wagner has acted like other mercenary groups who invite themselves into unstable environments to create more mayhem and exploit, the situation. So I'm trying to suggest that it is not at all going to be possible for these 5 men, or young men, if I should put it that way, to hold a pro-Russia and pro-Wagner protest, albeit funded from outside, to buy T-shirts, buy Russian flags, rent a megaphone or speakers, and organize a rally. I can't see how we could jump from this base to what Peace FM has reported, that these men were planning to overthrow the government, and they were specific of the government of Akufo-Addo and to destabilize the country. Now, I've taken a bit of time to go to the website of Fact Ghana, which is purported to have, been the source of the information. I didn't find any news item, and elsewhere somebody asked whether they had pulled the story. I didn't find that story on Fact Ghana's website. You rather find it on Yen, on Pulse, on Media General, and then City. So my humble suggestion is what I have suggested elsewhere, that because we are a democracy, and because safety and security is about the people, not, in quotes, the regime, the Ghana Police Service must come out and inform Ghanaians as to what is going on about these 5 young men, and whether indeed they had the capacity to overthrow the state. Secondly, I've done a bit of check, very, very minimal, spoken to a lawyer who has drawn my attention to an SMC decree of 1979, which banned membership or association with groups fighting for secession for Western Togoland. Now, I stand to be corrected. Is there a law in Ghana that proscribes membership of Wagner? Has Wagner been proscribed as a terrorist group? We need the lawyers to come and educate us. We cannot hide behind generalities and suggest that because Wagner is from Russia, and because we may not be on the side of Russia, therefore any association with Wagner, with Russia, even if funded from outside, is illegal. Thirdly, if the story on Pulse, Peace FM, suggesting that this group was going to overthrow the government of Akufo-Addo and destabilize the country, where is the evidence? And why should persons accused, for plotting to overthrow the state be granted bail to go home and to appear in court on the 3rd of October? It looks to me that, as the white man will say, this is deja vu, Dr. Palmer. Because treason is the highest offense that you can commit against a state. And if these men were going to overthrow the state, they should be in custody, pending further investigations. So all said and done, may the Ghana Police Service come and inform us. But personally, at this stage, based on what I have read and heard, I don't think that this allegation that they were planning a coup, if I should put it that way, holds any merit. I don't see it that way. And as a youth, if I wear a T-shirt, Che Guevara, does it mean that I'm a freedom fighter or I'm a terrorist? Do we really know the reasons behind some of these activist groups that we have in Ghana, like Fix the Country? When it started, did we know the real motive behind the establishment of Occupy Ghana? And do we know what Vomawo's group, Fix the Country, the real motive? Do we know it? So all we know is that this is a group, or these are groups, that want to hold the government to account and want to express other opinions different from what the government and the generality of Ghanaians may hold. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right.
And indeed, if it comes to bringing elements like Wagner into this country, if you ask me tomorrow, I can share research findings by other institutions that there are terrorists in Ghana. In all the places, or many of the places where we are mining Galamsey, they are there.
Colonel, thank you so much for your time. And Colonel Festus Abuaje retired as a security analyst.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. Let's go to one of our headline stories we have for you tonight. The special prosecutor says its investigations have revealed an undisclosed real estate business and other businesses linked to the former Minister for Sanitation who operated them using aliases. In the latest charge sheet filed at the High Court seeking to affirm the seizure and freeze of assets of the former minister, the OSP further alleged that Madam Dapaah was receiving payments from the accounts of her deceased brother.
According to the charge sheet cited by us here at TV3 News, the special prosecutor makes the argument that its criminal intelligence revealed that large sums of cash and monies deposited in the account of Madam Cecilia Dapaah far exceed acceptable limits as a former Minister of State. The special prosecutor further alleges that Madam Cecilia Dapaah is engaged in real estate business and other businesses using aliases while receiving different sums in either hard cash or being deposited in her accounts. On the $590,000 US and the 2.8 million cedis found in her home, the OSP cited 15 reasons as to why those said amounts were tainted. Notable amongst the OSP's reasons were claims by Madam Cecilia Dapaah that part of the 2.8 million cedis found in her home were proceeds from her cosmetic business, Demacare Cosmetics, and monies she had made from that particular business. However, searches by the OSP's investigative department revealed that the said business was not registered in her name. Lastly, on the monies found in the home of Cecilia Dapaah, the respondents, that is, Cecilia Dapaah and her husband, told the officers of the special prosecutor that the said amounts were part of the initially stolen funds by her house helps. But interestingly, they had failed to report these new findings to the police. On reasons why the bank accounts of the former minister should be frozen, the special prosecutor makes the case that under the alias of Nanaya Ode, the former minister sold real estate using the alias and received the proceeds of the sale into her Prudential Bank CD account. The Office of the Special Prosecutor also makes revelations that, strangely, the deceased brother of the former minister was still making payments into the CD account of the former sanitation minister, despite passing on in January of 2022. These set payments were captured between September of 2022 and May of 2023. The OSP makes the argument further that the dollar account of Cecilia Dapaah, still with Prudential Bank, received substantial funds from herself in deposits as far back as 2016, November, and June of this year. In concluding the arguments, the special prosecutor makes the case and makes it strongly that the reasons adduced for the affirmation of the seizures of the said amounts in the home of Cecilia Dapaah is a fit and proper case, one that the court must agree to. He further argues that the requirements needed for the accounts of the former minister to be frozen have been explicitly stated in the Act, which gives him the authority.
All right, so let's pick the thoughts of a private legal practitioner on the new twists and turns that are coming up as a result of this case. Lawyer Bobby Banson is a private legal practitioner. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin, and thanks for having me. And good evening to your viewers and listeners.
Right. What are your immediate thoughts on these new angles that are coming up as a result of what the special prosecutor has thrown up? The likes of the former minister using aliases to sell and procure items, the monies going into her bank account coming from her deceased brother, and the several other new angles captured in the new charge sheet.
Well, I think the special prosecutor knows that he has a burden to discharge with this application to prove to the court that there's a prima facie basis for the accounts to be frozen until final or until investigations are complete. And so at this stage, the OSP has not yet charged Madam Cecilia Dapaah with any offense. They are saying that we are still investigating. So far, our investigations have revealed this. We will keep us so that the what may be the evidence will not be dissipated by the time we complete our investigation. And so the court should confirm the freezing of the order and pursuant to the freezing of the account and the other properties, pursuant to which we will now proceed with our fully fledged investigation and then possibly prefer the necessary charges or the requisite charges against Madam Cecilia Dapaah. So I believe that the OSP has put his best foot forward to make sure that there is no doubt in the mind of the judge that there's a prima facie reason why, or on the face of it, there's a reason why the account should remain frozen until the investigations are completed. So it is on notice. So Madam Cecilia Dapaah's lawyer will be served, and they have an opportunity to respond and depose to facts and evidence that may cast doubts onto the as to the credibility of the documents and the facts or depositions contained in the OSP's application.
Right. So primarily, the OSP has been able to establish that there's a prima facie case that the courts should be interested in. You believe that the court, is it your expectation that the court should actually go ahead with the freezing of the account as the OSP is seeking?
Now, I would not want to prejudice the outcome of the application, but the judge would be seized with all the documents and all the evidence, and I believe that the judge will make a fair conclusion based on the evidence that are put before him or her.
All right, different arms and legs still growing out of this story. We'll be engaging you further on this. Lawyer Bobby Banson is a private legal practitioner. Thank you for your time.
In more news tonight, the Vice President and flag-bearer hopeful of the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, says he will not be dragged into a battle of insults as he seeks to lead the party into the 2024 general elections. He was speaking during his campaign tour to lead the party at Goso in the Afo region.
NPP nia mini ubekabum na ye juma Kukurudu.
I don't want divisions in our party. If you are a member of the NPP, I'll work with you because after the November 4 elections, we'll have to work together to retain power. So all through my campaigns, I've not insulted anyone. I've not accused anyone, and I've not even mentioned anyone's name. I only sell my message to the delegates and encourage them to vote for me. If you insult someone during the campaign and later ask the person to come and work with you, will the person come?
I'm a delegate. Not delegates, dream. Who did you be at them and there? Na Chinoko friend say, Branayan Quaya campaigner, Obeba. Omba.
So I've told all my spokesperson that even if someone insults me, they should not insult the person back because we need a united front to wrestle power in 2024.
Because
And we at your Election Command Center are warming up just as the various political parties and will definitely keep you in the loop of how things play out. On to some other stories now. The Junction Mall Management and Lejokuku Municipal Fire Command have organized a fire training and simulation for tenants and co-workers and workers aiming to educate them about good fire practices and prevention methods.
The annual exercise is a safety measure for both tenants and mall patrons. Junction Mall's marketing manager, Reginald Bulle, emphasized the shared responsibility of fire management.
So the purpose of today's training is basically to equip our staff in the mall on safety tips, especially with fire, how to manage fire when we should have an outbreak of that kind in this mall or even at their homes. So that's why we do this twice a year to train the staff in the mall and also to equip the community members who join us during this training. And we also have the first aid and security training that will come on tomorrow, where we have reps from Ghana First Aid, a rep from Ghana Police that will be here to train them on safety tips.
Assistant Divisional Officer, Grade 2 at the Legma Municipal Fire Station, Michael Okwe, commended the mall management for the proactive fire prevention measures and encouraged other organizations to follow suit.
Every year, Junction Mall, in collaboration with Ghana National Fire Service, Legma Municipal, organize this basic firefighting and management program for the mall and tenant to create awareness and impact the fire safety education. We do that for the benefit of the public, the individual, and they will know the do's and don'ts.
Junction Mall is a popular destination for shopping, dining, and entertainment, catering to individuals who value quality, beauty, and tranquility.
Telecom operator AT, through its Touching Lives initiative, is supporting patients with sickle cell disease through blood donations to mark the 2023 edition of Sickle Cell Awareness Month. The initiative is part of the company's corporate social responsibility.
AT has partnered with the Ghana Institute of Clinical Genetics and the National Blood Bank Kolebu Teaching Hospital to enhance support for sickle cell disease through equipment and blood donation.
Sickle cell affects almost everybody here in Ghana, either directly or indirectly. So that's why we've been pounding this now for 2 years, because we think it's very important that Ghana understands exactly what sickle cell is. We do away with all of the taboos and the bad feelings about sickle cell, and we help our warriors to survive.
Head of Brands and Communication, Nancy Esiedu Amrado, expressed the company's resolve to promote education to combat sickle cell disease and prevent social stigma.
We've been focusing on AT Touching Lives Sickle Cell Edition. So this year, we were deliberate about it to make sure that our blood donation exercise would coincide with Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And this is just because all the blood we donate as AT is specifically dedicated for the use by sickle cell warriors. We believe that giving back to the society is also a way of empowering people socially, economically, and improving lives.
Deputy Donor Organizer at the National Blood Bank, Sophia Melis Blankson, lauded AT for such partnerships. The AT Touching Lives initiative is dedicated to promoting general well-being and implementing social activities that aim to transform societal needs.
This is TV3. You're watching News 360. Stay with us. Business, sports, entertainment all lined up right after this break.
And Michael is here to give us the latest update in the world of business. Michael, what do you have for us today?
Well, basically, earlier today, reports came from the IMF indicating that Ghana is amongst the countries, literally top the list.
We are in a comfortable lead.
Okay. And yes, we got some reactions from Prof. Kote, who says, well, we should stay calm. All right, then. Good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. My name is Michael Obodu. Straight into our first story. As director at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, Professor Peter Kote says Ghana, being the most indebted country to the IMF, is no cause for alarm since the loans are granted at concessionary rates. According to the fund's quarterly finances for July and 2023, Ghana's outstanding loans to them stood at $2.227 billion as of July 31, 2023, as Ghana retains the position of the most indebted country to the Bretton Woods institution in Africa.
As of July 31, 2023, Ghana's outstanding loans to the IMF reached a substantial special drawing rights equivalent to $2.227 billion. This is $451 million increase from the $1.246 billion recorded just 3 months earlier on April 30, 2023. The increase in debt can be attributed to a $600 million bailout package that Ghana secured from the IMF in June 2023. Ghana's loans from the Bretton Woods institution are categorized as concessional lending with favorable terms, including low-interest financing, which is critical for the country's economic recovery efforts.
Better to borrow from the IMF than to borrow from the capital market. However, too much of debt also has problems because it's not free, it has to be repaid at some point in time. So that will have repercussions on our expenditure because we have to service these loans. So as we borrow, we ought to caution government that our appetite to borrow, especially from the capital market, to be kept. I'm not saying that's the best option. The best option is for us to raise resources domestically. However, if we have to borrow, then let's borrow from the IMF and the World Bank and other bilateral donors, but within sustainable debt limits.
Democratic Republic of Congo is the second debtor to IMF with $1.142 billion. Kenya maintains its position as the third most indebted African nations to the IMF as of July 31, 2023, with SDR $1.008 billion.
In a bid to bolster Ghana's energy sector and propel economic growth, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Upstream Petroleum Chamber is advocating for strategic incentives to spur oil exploration in the country. Speaking at the Ghana Oil and Gas Conference, David Ampofo said attracting both local and international investors into the space will unearth the sector's full potential.
We identify 2 or 3 things. Let's look for too many things. One is we want to incentivize exploration. It all begins. If you explore, if you don't find any, you're not doing anything. Okay? I mean, look, you heard that just 2 weeks ago we had 30,000 barrels. It's coming from the good old Jubilee field. Thank God for it. But we need more of it. You can see the activity is very limited. You know, how do we incentivize exploration? What are we doing wrong? What could we do right, let me put it that way, to get more and more investment? Foreign investment and local investment. When I talk about investment, I'm talking about both foreign and local investors. Of course, the magnitude of some of our tasks require huge sums of money that can only come from large companies.
Now, the Traders Advocacy Group Ghana TAG has threatened to add the cost arising from the illegal activities of task force established by the Customs Division of the GRA to consumers by December. The group insists the activities of the task force is adding to the already high cost of doing business in the country, especially for traders in Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital.
The current economic crisis in the country, coupled with high inflation, has pushed prices of food and basic commodities in Ghana beyond the purchasing power of the average Ghanaian. Prices of basic staples have more than tripled since the beginning of the year. Importers and traders have attributed the hike in prices to high cost of doing business in the country. That notwithstanding, traders are threatening to further hike prices if activities of task forces set up by the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to extort money from importers are not halted immediately.
I am assuring you, by December this year, if this rot keep on going and we don't strictly adhere to the paperless system that we deploy, and traders keep paying unapproved monies to customs officers.
Well, that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. Our website, 3news.com, has more business stories for you. My name is Michael Obodu. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay safe. Up next, the sports.
Welcome back to 360. This is time for sports, and honestly, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay,
so my name is Theo, and it's time for me to bring you the latest in the world of sports. Martin Asiedu Date, thank you. And let's get into the details. And the Ghana Football Association's elections is on hold. However, the GFA president, Keto Kreku, as it stands, will stand unopposed for the GFA presidency when the new dates for the elections are set. Kelvin Oswansa, my colleague, explains why this closest competitor has been ruled out in this report.
A ruling from the Elections Committee dated September 15, 2023 stated Afriyie failed to fulfill the requirements on his nomination form, which was the basis for his disqualification. The committee revealed the former GFA scribe failed to provide the required number of GFA members to endorse his candidature after using an unqualified person, Jeffrey Asari, to endorse his nomination forms as a director at Victory Club Warriors Football Club. Afriyie appealed and argued that he had 6 GFA members to endorse his form, but the appeals committee said only 5 endorsements were allowed. He also argued that the committee didn't apply Article 8, Clause 3 of the FA regulations on elections and also had 6 panel members during his vetting instead of the mandated 5. Nevertheless, the appeals committee upheld his disqualification, instructive that the 6th member was not part of the panel and was an in-house lawyer providing administrative assistance to the committee. For sports journalist Jerome Otri, the unopposed agenda was conceived before the election timetable was released.
From day one, the KET administration has been opposed to a contest. And they've done everything within their power to ensure that that contest will not happen. And that is why George, in the first place, was disqualified. That is why, even when he was filing an appeal, when he wanted to submit hard copies of the appeal, the FA Secretariat didn't want to take it. And, I mean, how else would you want to explain that action apart from making sure that he is physically prevented from putting in an application so desired by the law? And so if at the end of the day, the application for appeal or the appeal that he submitted has been thrown out, it goes to confirm all the suspicions we have had that they were going to disqualify him. They were going to make sure that KET goes unopposed because from day one, that is what they envisaged, and that is what is coming to pass.
George Afriyie's disqualification means incumbent GFA President Keto Kreku will run unopposed in the upcoming presidential elections.
Let's now continue with the rest of our stories. And 5 students of the Gomua Potting T.I. Amadina Senior High School have been arrested for inflicting knife wounds on their mates. The attack, according to TV3 sources, was carried out in an attempt to avenge an earlier altercation between one of their colleagues and an SHS2 student.
The suspect, mostly SHS3 student, reportedly attacked 12 other students in the night at a time many students were asleep. They allegedly inflicted knife wounds on the victims and struck others with clubs.
The first guy attacked my neck and covered my mouth. And so I on my torch that maybe I could see face, but it was preventing itself from this. So later on, the second guy came and he held the phone. You see, I was on the torch, so he held it and he stabbed me with the knife.
School authorities have initiated an investigation into the attack and handed over the suspect to the Gomua Potting Police for further interrogation. Victims are currently receiving treatment at the Potting Polyclinic.
In more news tonight, Funko and New Amanfo residents in the Western region have given government a 1-month ultimatum to fix their deteriorating roads, warning of a larger demonstration if their concerns are not addressed.
Funko and New Amanfo communities in the Ahanta West municipality face challenges due to deep potholes on major roads, making accessibility difficult, especially during the rains. The area is home to numerous oil and timber firms. The protest resulted in a clash between the police and demonstrators. 2 people are currently in critical condition, while others have sustained injuries as police used tear gas, pepper spray and rubber bullets to control the demonstrating crowd.
All the roads are blocked. Now we don't have any access road to go. And then this road too is not good. So the youth of the town have right to protest against the problems that they have been facing.
We wanted to do a peaceful demonstration, but it turned bloody. If government doesn't fix our roads, we won't vote in the next election.
The conveners have issued a 1-month ultimatum to government.
Coming up, international news.
Happening here at the UN General Assembly since Monday, speeches, sideline meetings, of course, building of strategic partnerships, all in a bid to combat challenges undermining socio-economic development. Ghana's President Akufo-Addo has been holding series of bilateral meetings since Saturday when he arrived here in New York, seeking to push for more efforts towards climate financing and, of course, solutions to some of the pressing challenges facing the Ghanaian economy. The general debate has now taken center stage. We've heard from the President of Brazil, of course, who opened the floor, Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, the Cuban President, South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa, among others. The focus, however, was largely on Ukrainian President Zelensky and, of course, US President Joe Biden. Mr. Biden condemned the series of coups seen in Western Central Africa and pledged support to restore democratic governance in Burkina Faso, Mali, and of course Niger, among others.
And in this moment where democratically elected governments have been toppled in quick succession in West and Central Africa, we're reminded that this work is as urgent and important as ever. We stand with the African Union and ECOWAS and other regional bodies to support constitutional rule. We will not retreat from the values that make us strong. We will defend democracy, our best tool to meet the challenges we face around the world.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for staying with us for the last hour. My name is Martin Asiedu Date.
I am Portia Gabo. Have a lovely evening.